What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Coach Booker in the building, man. We live. We live on the line, sports media. We are live. It's your boy, Coach Booker. And we thank you. We thank everybody for checking in, man, listening to our content. Like, share, subscribe, man. We really do appreciate everything that you guys do, man. We could not do this podcast without you guys. And we'd like to thank everybody who views our content, looks at our content, like our content, and subscribe. Keep subscribing. Hey, listen, it's very simple. You go to YouTube, On the Lines Sports Media, or On the Line Podcast, and just hit subscribe. So you can always tune in to our shows. You can go to it's simple. Come on, man. Everybody's using social media. You go to Facebook and just hit On the Lines, just like you see here on the screen. And you just hit follow. It's just that simple. Follow. And then, of course, if you like the content, you like it. If you don't, man, everybody ain't going to like all our content. We know that. Everybody ain't going to like everything that we do. And we understand. It's cool. We're going to get better. Every show, we're going to get better. And we're gonna keep pushing out content until we get this thing right, man. We just want to be a local media outlet for all the people. Some people don't even watch the news; they rather watch podcasts. So we want to be able to be one of those outlets where those platforms where you can just go on social media, man. And we're gonna be talking about something interesting: high school football, middle school football, youth football, college football, uh, basketball, NBA basketball. We're gonna be talking about what's going on in Hollywood. We're gonna be bringing content, but you gotta go online. You gotta go on the line and subscribe to On the Line Sports Media, On the Line After Dark, and just our online podcast. Hey, listen, we're gonna be doing quite a bit, man. We're gonna be doing quite a bit in the community. As a matter of fact, Saturday we're gonna be over at JM Alexander. We got a couple middle school age teams that's just gonna be over there competing against one another. JM Alexander, man. The middle schools are kind of ramping it up a little bit, man. Middle schools are ramping it up a little bit, man. They don't started working out a little bit here and there. And it's not the middle school themselves. It's just different groups are grabbing middle school kids and start to work them out a little earlier, man. Because that middle school thing, they trying to make it a little bit more competitive here in Charlotte, right? And then we're gonna be at JM Alexander Saturday morning from 9 until probably like 2. About 8 to 10 middle school teams are gonna be out there working out on middle school groups, age groups going to be working out. And then we're going to go to Taste of Charlotte. On the Lines will be down at Taste of Charlotte. Man, we're going to have the cameras on. We're going to be just asking random questions, man. I got a question. On the Lines always got a question. So we're going to be asking. We're going to be walking around, talking to vendors. And Taste of Charlotte is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful event. So make sure you come out to Taste of Charlotte this weekend and be a part of On the Line. Tonight, man, I'm gonna sit down with a very influential guy out here in the community, man. He's been out here for quite some time, man, and I've been watching him from afar. And I really love watching powerful guys get out in the community and walk the sidelines. These football teams and track teams, and this guy's been real big out in the community, man. I'm gonna bring him on. Looks like, oh, there he is. So I'm gonna add him to the stage, man, and we're gonna have a little conversation. We're gonna have a conversation. And there he is.
What's going on?
My God. Yeah, welcome to the show, man. Welcome to On the Line Sports Media Podcast, man.
No doubt. Appreciate you
What's
having us, man.
Yeah,
A
man.
lot of
How's your
respect.
day been?
It's been good. It's been good. Just getting ready for football. We start up on Monday. So we had a transition from track. Track ended 2 weeks ago. So I try to take a little break
A
but
break.
it's back to the grind.
We're gonna we're
I
gonna
don't
we're gonna talk about what a break means to you because It don't seem like you get a break, man. You know what I'm saying? You gotta exhale and breathe again and take a break. We're gonna talk about what Robert Washington looks like when he takes a break. What's happening when you do that? So let me tell you a little bit about my guest, man. He's been coaching for 18 years, right? 10 years as a head coach. Not just 10 years as a head coach, man. He's been a five-time state champion, four-time regional champion. I got to make sure we got this one right. 15-time conference champion as a coach. 15-time conference coach of the year. Man, we got to talk about that, coach. 2-time state coach of the year. Lord have mercy, man. Let me take a breath, man. Let me take a breath. That's a lot. That's a lot. And we ain't gonna just talk about he's more than a coach, right? He's more than a coach. He's 10 years as a guidance counselor. He's an educator. 6 years as not just a football coach, the athletic director. We know what an athletic director entails, right? That's all the sports, right? Making sure all the sports are good. And this is the more impressive thing that I like about this guy, Robert Washington. He's helped over 300 student athletes get scholarships and opportunities to play collegiate sports, man. Now that is impressive. And I mean, he's got a brain up there, all right, and it works pretty good. I mean, he got a bachelor's in sociology from Fayetteville State, HBCU. I like that. And I'm sorry. Let me get all your credentials right. He got a master's in executive leadership. Man, you are that dude that I've been looking at from afar, and you are all those things. And we really do appreciate having guys like you that's in leadership positions, man. Hey, listen, let me say it one more time. I got my man Robert Washington in the building. Boom. Straight like that, man. Welcome to the show once again, Coach, man. And we really do appreciate you accepting the offer. Let's just get right to it, man. The 2024 Raptors, man, football squad. What we looking like, Coach? What are the expectations? And I know what the end goal should be, I would think. But what do the real expectations look like as you walk into the season, first day of practice, working out with the guys? What's your message, and what are the expectations there for the 2024 Raptors?
Man, my expectation is always give it 100%, and we'll live with the results. Like if you give it 100%, whatever that looks like, look, we'll live with the results, whatever that scoreboard looks like. But a lot of times, like especially going into the off season, we're looking at what do we have, right? Because what I try to do, I don't have a system. I don't have a set system just in place. So what I try to do is set up our schematics around what our personnel tells us to do. Okay. So I won't know that until, maybe like towards the end of summer when you start seeing what your kids do well, because for the first 2 weeks, we won't touch a football. We're big on conditioning and as you've seen through our track and field success, we build through speed. We got kids, because that's one thing that is an X factor on the field is speed. Speed makes up for a lot. Yeah. Because the thing is, even if, let's just say if you're a defensive back and I mean, you got all the technique down pat and, shit, if you can't recover, if somebody blow by you and you can't recover, none of that technique matters. You got to be able to recover. So I believe speed is a big part of that. So a good majority of my skill guys do track, but for the ones that don't, what we try to do the first 2 weeks, get them acclimated, get them conditioned, get their footwork down, get that speed going before we even touch a football. So probably like second, third week, you start seeing us doing some 7-on-7 stuff and rolling out a football.
So when you talk about when you say the word we, a lot of these guys are Bill Mill staff. When you talk about we, what does your staff kind of looks like? Are we does it? Because a lot of people are building staffs, and I'm gonna keep it real with you now on this show. Now, some people are building high school staffs that doesn't consist of skill specific guys like receiver coaches, running back coaches, D-line coaches. Everyone doesn't have that type of a staff. Tell me what your staff looks like when you go into the what. You may not be able to find all these guys, but tell me what's your perfect idea of a staff that you know that can get these guys prepared for the season.
Well, first, you start off with a perfect thing, the word "we." That's actually our motto
Right.
this year is "we," and that stands for win everything. I don't care what you do.
I like that. I
Win,
like that, coach.
win everything. So we take a we mentality. My staff is pretty much built of great guys that's done it at all levels. Because the thing is, especially like when you're trying to build a staff, you also have to develop young talent. There's some good coaches out here that's coaching youth ball. I get a lot of coaches from youth ball. Throughout my years, I've gotten a lot of coaches out of youth ball because the thing is, some of those coaches are doing it for free, and they
Right.
could coach their butt off. I don't care. I don't care if you're at the high school level or you're at the youth level or the college level or the NFL level. A coach that can coach no matter what.
Right.
But I have a special place for those coaches that is out there coaching youth ball and not getting paid anything.
Right.
Because you got to go through the same grind and a little bit more than what we technically go through at the high school level with educational-based athletics. So you're dealing with so many different dynamics. You're a father figure. You're a mentor. You're the janitor. You cover so many roles. You the counselor, any of that stuff. I mean, in most cases, we might be a father figure or uncle figure. So for
Right.
me, my current staff is built up of great men. And let's start off with my offensive coordinator, Jack Gardner. Jack started off with me my second year at Mountain Island. So I got 5 guys, and I know it's really rare. I got 5 guys that have been on the staff since I started at Mountain Island. They're still on
Okay.
staff today.
I
So
like that.
that's a good foundation because especially in coaching now, high school coaching, it's just so many different dynamics. People move around for a variety of reasons. Nothing negative, nothing positive. It's just staffs move around. People want to grow. But I got 5 guys that has been dedicated. And Jack is one of those guys that joined our staff a year later. But he started off as a 22-year-old kid, fresh out of college, offensive line guy, a little rough around the edges. Rough around the edges.
You gotta have those. You gotta have those.
Yeah, I mean, a couple, referee throw the flag, he's pissed every play. He's, first couple years, he kept getting me unsportsmanlike conduct penalties because if
Oh
your assistant coach does it, it falls on the head coach.
Oh,
So I mean,
certainly.
literally, one of the referees was like, "Man, if you don't shut him up, I'm throwing you out the game." So he's coming a long way.
Right.
So he's been in the program for this is our his ninth year. So he worked his way up. He started off as an assistant O-line coach, 22 years old, and then he ended up getting an O-line coaching job, and then he ended up being a JV offensive coordinator, and
All
then
right.
now he's our offensive coordinator, and he started that role. This is the second year as our offensive coordinator. So that guy has done it the right way. I'm proud of that because as a head coach, you're only as good as your assistants. Now,
For sure.
I'm definitely the face of it, but at the end of the day, I'm no good without my assistant coaches. So Jack Gardner, my offensive coordinator, my defensive coordinator, Josh Mills. Josh is another guy. If Josh was an outstanding standout at Forest View High School, he went to Wingate, played 4 years. Great guy, real knowledgeable. Even played a little semi-pro indoor football. Josh is one of those guys that started off with me as a D-line coach on JV, and then he
Right.
moved up JV defensive coordinator, and then moved up,
Okay.
and now he's our DC. He's been our DC for the last 4 or 5 years. So these guys are moving up and taking jobs and doing it the right way. And then also my special teams coordinator, guy by the name of Jerry Baker. Jerry's been coaching for 30 plus years. He's a vet. He's definitely, when I came into the game, he was my mentor as far as learning how to do it the right way. Because, every area has different coaching styles and coaching philosophies. Like coaching in Charlotte might be a little different than coaching in Cleveland County or Gaston County or Cabarrus County.
Right.
It's just
Right.
it's just different styles. So Jerry Baker, he was able to help me get acclimated and learn about the culture and the community of Gaston County. So he's definitely been a big part of who I am. I would not be where I'm at without Jerry Baker, and I just appreciate all he do. And I love that he's joining us again this year. He's one of those 5 guys that's been with me from day one. And then also we got Josh Dawkins. And with my staff, we coach JV and varsity. So I carry a large staff, but it's really technically, if you put JV and varsity, it's a smaller staff. But I feel like you got to give everybody the same attention. I want varsity players to have JV players to have the same attention to detail that varsity does. So they're being coached by the same men. It's just during game day we'll break off. So Josh Dawkins is a guy. He's our DB coach. He's our strength and conditioning coach. Doc played at Forest View. He was a standout at Forest View. He was a standout at Mars Hill. And he's one of those guys, man. He brings that intensity. He sparks our energy for practice to game day. He get those players hype. He's like a nephew to me. Like a lot of my coaches is younger coaches, but they're like nephews, man. And I take pride in their development. So he's our DB coach, but also going back to what I said about developing coaches, he's our defensive coordinator on JV. And there's no better way to get that experience than on JV and being able to learn, because it's something about learning real time when the so-called bullets are flying. For sure. And they're getting that. So Josh is our defensive coordinator on JV. And then also Otis Forsythe, Coach O. He was the head coach of middle school, Mount Holly Middle, a couple years ago. He joined our staff. He's our linebacker coach. He's also our assistant. He's our assistant head coach on JV. Phenomenal guy. And then also I got my brother, Coach Apri Washington. I don't think Apri.
Yes, sir. He's been around.
Yeah. Everybody, if you know Apri, you know he's one of the biggest motivators, men of character, men of faith. It gets so bad, I can't follow behind, dude. Like he do something, I know I have to go first because he's just gonna have the players so motivated. He's gonna give you chill bumps. He even make you cry at times because he'll make you challenge yourself and make sure that you're developed. He's all about the kids. He's one of the only coaches, because I only got 2 coaches in the building. That's me and Apri. So that I can't thank him enough. Just joining. He was doing middle school because when we first came to Mountain Island, he coached the high school, and then he ended up joining middle school, won a couple championships in middle school, and then he came back up. So I appreciate my brother. Also, McKelty Armstrong. McKelty was a standout at Forest View, big time receiver. He had a bunch of receiving records, and I always tell my players, if you're breaking a record, you're breaking McKelty's record. Right? You're breaking his record, and that actually happened with one of our players that broke one of his records. But he had all the Gaston County records from receiving. If you know anything about Gaston County ball, that receiving record is a tough record to get. Because it's more run based down here in this area. But McKelty, he played at App State. Phenomenal guy, man of character. Do it the right way. He's our receiver coach. But going back to what I said about Josh Dawkins, he's also our offensive coordinator. And for JV, he's our JV offensive coordinator. And just looking forward to his development. He's one of those guys that when he was in high school, I helped out, with going to App State and stuff like that. So it feels good bringing back the ones that I helped at one point, but they're coming back and they're helping other people, right?
Oh, man.
And it's
gratifying.
Just fun. It's gratifying. And sometimes I just sit back and watch them talk. Like, the guys, just the younger guys, and I'm like, I'm just like a proud uncle. Everybody's uncle. Everybody call me uncle. Right. Because I'm so proud, because that's what it's about, is to pay it forward. And if I can spark something in your brain or impact you, and obviously you don't have to do exactly the way I do it, but if I spark the need to help, because we're in a servant position being coaches. Some coaches get that confused. They get on power trips and I'm this, I'm that. No, you're not. You're no different than a waiter at Denny's. I'm just keeping it real. You're here serving. We're serving our community. And
I like that, Coach.
It's not about no titles and all that stuff, because at the end of the day, you can, like any other job, like you might can go back and correct and change a spreadsheet. You can't go back and correct a life. So
that's right.
You get what I'm saying? if you power tripping, you hurting kids, and I mean, them kids might not recover. For me, I'm without an education, without athletics, without someone that cares, someone that helped me out, I wouldn't be here. I'm from, I'm from some of the worst parts of Charlotte. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Originally from Connecticut, but the thing was, it took someone to help me and give me a chance or give me a second chance to be able to be even sit in this position. So I'm always big on paying it forward, and you could do better. You get what I'm saying? Because if someone would have judged me at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So these young men and these young women need us, not to judge them, not to pick on them, but to give them opportunity to help them see that they can be better versions of themselves. And for us, it's football, right? It's football, because no one's listening to Robert Washington, the teacher or the guidance counselor, but they listen to Robert Washington, the football or track coach. So that's where seeing the McKelties and stuff and seeing that does my heart well. That keeps me young inside. That keeps me just sleeping good at night, waking up, just looking. Because another thing too, I'm excited to come to practice, not just for my players, but also my coaches. The coaches like McKelty, Josh Dawkins, Josh Mills, Jack Gardner, coming back, seeing them. And I want to add in Austin Shockey. Austin was a player. He played at East Gaston, and he just came back. He was in the staff for 2 years. He ended up moving to Charleston. He joined the staff back again. But guys like that, I can't wait to talk to him and give him advice, not just on football, but on life.
Absolutely.
But to continue on with the coaching staff, I got Devin Latter. Devin coached a couple years at West Met. He coaches O-line. Devin is a family man, married man, just like a good man of faith. Again, he's another younger coach that I can't, I love seeing him develop. And then also Derek Howe. Now, Derek Howe, I could have mentioned him first, man. Derek Howe's like my big brother. He's a man of character. He's one of those guys that was like Jerry Baker that played a vital role in my development. As I wouldn't be here without Derek and Jerry. And they helped me out. And they was part of that five that started when I started. And you always need that coach to check you, right?
Oh, for sure.
Like me, I'm one of those ones. I'm transparent. I can't be around a bunch of people that is yes. I can't do that. That's not me.
Right.
I need somebody, and it's ways to do it. It's tact,
Oh yeah, definitely. It's still approach.
It's approach, right? I don't want to hear that at the game or whatever, but I want to hear it. Like, he'll call me like, man, you was wrong, or bro, you should. I mean, have you thought about doing it like this? And I respect him because he comes to me correctly, and even he might pull me aside. And there's plenty of times that, during our 10 years together, we've been together for 10 years, where we might fall out. And I got to throw Ronnie Hunter in this, because Ronnie Hunter's another guy that was part of the five that I was telling you about with Jerry and them. So Ronnie, these are the guys that, like, I always tell the younger coaches, if we fall out during the game, we're fine. We'll be hugging by the end of the game. But don't follow what they're doing. They're not setting a good example as assistant coaches. This takes time. You know what I'm saying? It's years of marination and years of just relationship and years of trust and going through this process. But those two guys, they always check me and make sure that because I look at it as love, because they're checking me behind the scenes, so I'm not looking bad out there, because to be in the game be in the game for 18 years, 10 years at one school as a head coach, I mean, that takes a lot. And like me, the credits first, the glory be to God of anything.
For sure.
You ever read off or anything I'm talking about, all glory go to him.
Yes, sir.
And to have longevity in the game, because you see a lot of coaches that bounce around here, bounce around there, just different things. And there's no knock on that. Whatever floats one's boat floats their boat. That's fine.
No. But we gotta talk about that. I don't mean to cut you off, Coach, but listen, man. Let's talk about that, man. All these coaches floating around and stuff like that. But we ain't gonna put a lot of emphasis on that. But it's happening. It's happening, and and to me, it's sort of at the expense of the kids, because the kids sometimes want to build relationships with these guys. They might not have anyone else to build these relationships with them to connect with. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're gone. Here they're gone. I mean, just coaches all over the place, man. And I think at the expense of the kids right now, to me, are kind of suffering with not just on the high school level, only on in college, you know. And I understand people trying to feed their family. They're looking for opportunities they inspired to move up as an OC or inspired to get to college football. But it's kind of tough on a kid when he gets attached to one of your coaches, and then the next thing you know, he's gone. Or get attached to you, and the next thing you know, you're gone. I really like your story because there's a lot of longevity and there's a lot of good, great relationships. And I love the way you give your coaches their flowers. But Charlotte, not just Charlotte, well, I'm going to say Charlotte. It's a lot of guys, a lot of these job openings came open. Butler High School, and I think it was one we had at was it Lake Norman or Mooresville, one of those schools, and then we had all these schools with these openings, but nobody had a staff. I don't think anybody had a staff like yours, because it sounds like you have. If Robert Washington was to walk away from the game for whatever reason, or something happened or whatever, sounds like certainly the head coach, the next head coach for Mountain Island, resides on your staff, man. Why is that so tough for the next? Why is this big coaching search on all these different staffs, man? Give me some insight on that. What do you think about that?
Now I'm gonna talk about my situation first, and I'm gonna talk about the other. And I also want to shout out Rodney Maxwell. Rodney coached a long time with West Mac, Garinger, different schools like this. Want to shout out Coach Max.
All right, Coach Max.
The thing is, man, it's like you wanted like if you're coaching with me, like for one, I don't like lifetime assistants, right? I don't want a lifetime assistant, even though I've had coaches that's been with me for a while, and majority of them, that's because they don't want to be head coaches. But for my coaches that I know want to be head coaches, it's my job to develop them. It's my job to develop them, and then if I ever stepped away, you know, obviously it's up to administration to make the call, but I want that next coach to be on the staff. Right. You shouldn't have to look, because they understand what our culture looks like. Because coaching at a 1A charter is different than coaching at a 4A school. Right.
Thank you.
So longevity, you got to invest in your coaches, man. And you got to know that you're going to cycle through coaches. I've cycled through a bunch of coaches because it might not be the fit for them. Not that is any negative or bad interactions or experience. It's just this might not be the job for you. And that's okay. But you got to be able to identify it. But I think for the most part, when you can have coaches with you for 10 plus years, it speaks volumes. So for me, in a longevity piece, it's about being loyal to your profession, because you got to think about it. We don't get paid a lot of money to coach high school sports at North Carolina. It's just, you hear it all the time.
I didn't know that.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Is that why everybody migrates to South Carolina, man? What's going on?
Yeah, see, the thing is, if you know that, so when you decide to be a head coach or being a coach, period, assistant coach, whatever the case may be, and you get into this profession, you can't get in it for any self or monetary. That's where most coaches go wrong. They go in it for trying to make money, trying to make a name for themselves.
Right.
This thing happened organically. Like I won't say any names, but I've been offered some of the highest jobs in Charlotte or in North Carolina. I've had ADs come to me and offer jobs behind the scenes. I mean, obviously you got to apply or whatnot, but I've been given opportunities where I can go to bigger schools if I chose to. I chose not to. Why? Because I got to be loyal to the kids I'm developing. Because guess what? I could go and get a bigger job, but at the end of the day, who is that serving? That's serving me. And so that's why you see a lot of coaches chasing their tails, because they need to sit themselves still and build something. Like I got kids that I'm coaching. I've coached their younger brother. I've coached the middle brother. I coached the younger brother. I just had a kid graduate. I coach all 4 of his brothers. So it's something to be said. And I've seen this kid grow up and just being invested in that. I can't be invested in building Robert Washington. Just like when you read off my resume, that wasn't intentional. That's just because I've sat still and I allow myself to be loyal to my kids. And that's why I always tell kids, because transfers is a big thing now, right? So I got kids that want to leave and kids that leave and go on. And I wish them the best, but I'm like, if I'm not searching for those opportunities, because some of the opportunities you run into, I could have been a head coach at those situations.
I know that's right.
You get what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's just something about being loyal, man, and building something from scratch. I'm not a front running coach. I'm not going to go to a bigger school and front run. No, I want to build my own culture. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you've seen for the last 10 years. And then the second piece on that is, and you know, this is one of the things that I'm passionate about, and it really is kind of disgusting to me on just like some of these coaches, because, and I don't want to say any names because I'm still in the coaching profession, and
and we ain't gonna call nobody out. I'll call them out. I'll call them out, but you don't call them out. All right, go ahead.
I can't do it, but you got guys, and you know, I'm an AD. You know what I'm saying? So I hear about who's applying for what. It runs around in the circles. So I know you got guys woofing and huffing and puffing, but they applying for every big name job that they can get their hands on, right? And then what they're doing is the kids that they're at their school, they don't know. They're not going and talking to them and telling them, like, look, I'm looking for better opportunities for my family. Ain't nobody gonna get mad at you for that, right? But if you really believe in your situation, sit still and build it. I'm talking about years, 10 plus. Right. That's why, like, if you ain't been coaching 10 plus in this game, I don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear it, because the thing is, it takes self-discipline as a coach to sit still and not think about myself. You don't think that I've thought about applying for a South Carolina job? I got a bunch of homeboys. Like, we got a friend of Coach Mo Evans, right? Coach Mo.
Yeah, I know Coach Mo.
Coach Mo, that's my guy. So Coach hit me up. He sees some South Carolina job. Coach, you need to apply for this. I'm like, nah, Mo, I'm good. Like, people think I'm crazy. I actually had a coach, AD, laugh at me. It was a bigger job. He was like, you want to stay? I'm like, nah, it's something bigger than that. It's not, I'm not coaching football, I'm coaching life. So I'm not playing those football games. You get what I'm saying? My thing is, I'm looking at that 9th grader as a rising 10th grader that I told them that they're family, or I'm committed to them for life. Why do I leave that?
Yeah, man, a lot of coaches don't quite have that mindset, and you said it well, man, about some of these guys that ain't even been in the game 10 years, but they've been at 4 or 5 different places, 6 different places. You know, what's really their mindset? What inspires them? I'm kind of like yourself, you know. I like to stay and build those relationships and connect with my students, my staff, and you've done well. But listen, how important is it for you to be connected to the community? Because I've seen you let a lot of these young youth football programs come out and be a part of what Mountain Island, a beautiful facility, by the way, one of the best of the best of the best. And how important is it for you and your staff to have a relationship with the community and these families out here in the community? How important is that?
I think it's vital, man, because going back to because I know youth ball get a lot of flat, you know, and some of it rightfully so, but the bulk of it and the majority, because you got to look at the majority. These are great men out here and great women out here leading these kids. Because you got to think about it. A lot of the skills that high school and middle school coaches are enjoying was developed on a youth level.
Right.
So it's vital. The thing about being at Mountain Island is a little different than different schools, because you do get youth programs that do want to partner with you, and they'll tell you, hey, we can get kids to come in. Well, you can't do that at Mountain Island because we got a lottery. So even if we had a feeder at that age group, it wouldn't feed into our middle school, because you got to actually be in school. So for some other schools, if you know they're partnering in the community and they're putting youth coaches on their staff, and they can benefit with those kids deciding to go to their middle school program or high school program, we don't have that luxury. So my stuff is a little more organic, where we do youth development. I used to actually do something called it was like a skill development for kids through K-5 that's physically at Mountain Island. So it's just little stuff. It's little stuff like that. But I think it's vital that we give back to the youth and we support the men that are giving back to the youth. Because again, like we talked about earlier, they're giving their time and they're doing it for free. And some of the things
you've done that very well, Coach. And I really do, appreciate what you've done in the community. I've watched you from afar, and you're always open to letting some of the inspired youth football coaches who may want to be in the same situation that you're in right now come out and coach at Mountain Island. Play football at Mountain Island. Get those kids an opportunity to dream and hope, and one day say, "I want to play football at Mountain Island," up under Coach Washington and his staff, man. So really do appreciate that, man. One very interesting fact, man, and how involved is coaching and recruiting? This is real, because recruiting took me, because my son was recruited, and in Mecklenburg County, of course. But and it was a lot of confusion in this whole recruiting thing, getting offers, and a lot of these kids are so sidetracked by getting 10, 15, 20 offers. Can we tell me a little bit, and I've heard you talk about it a little bit. Give me a little bit of insight on what that means, committable offers, and what does a college coach even look for in the characteristics that a college coach look for a kid to even get on his radar. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
Well, first, the process, I always say it's an art. It's not a science. So it's no exacts. So you get a lot of experts to go around, like NCSA, recruiting services. Right. First, don't ever pay for a recruiting service unless you.
Yeah, never that.
It's a money grab. But guys like that you have, like myself, Coach Hawk, that you have on the show, we understand it from this standpoint that it's an art. So things can change in a matter of a month. It can change in 2 months. It can change within a year. Like what we understand recruiting to be last year is different this year, and vice versa. And it's definitely a whole different makeup 5 years ago. So the first thing I would tell any prospect out there that want to get recruited is catch the eye of your high school coach first. Because those are the guys who are going to be able to advocate for you. Don't burn bridges, man. And don't be thirsty for offer, because that's what you get. A lot of kids they're more in love with the process than actually the substance that's in the process. So the kids get, fall in love with blessed to receive an offer, my 10th offer. None of that matters. I mean, your son got recruited. You can only choose one school.
Absolutely.
This thing is about relationships. So you could literally be talking to a school that have not told you that they wanted to offer you, and you could be in better shape with that school than the school that's told you they offer you.
That's true.
We got a local college here. I won't say no names, but they've offered everybody, right? And the thing is, what happens is when you go and tweet out, I got a non-committable offer from a D1X, whatever school, right? When that kid puts that on his timeline, when that kid leads with that, with conversations with other coaches, what they're doing, they're cutting themselves off from the actual coaches that really were recruiting.
Right.
I've had it happen before.
Yeah.
So you might get a kid that in this day and age, and I hate to put labels a D1 kid or D2 kid, because it doesn't matter. Because in this day and age, the transfer portal is taking over.
You got that right.
Your D1 kids might have to go D2 or 1AA.
D2. Right.
Yeah, they might have to go. And then your D2 kids might have to go D3. So it's pushed everything down, kind of like.
Absolutely.
Because unless you're a 4-star kid or you got some kind of superpower, like you run a 4.3 and you're 6'5", they're not really taking kids at the D1 level like that, the Power 5 level. So everything has pushed recruitment down. So be understanding of that process. So when you're dealing with a D2 school, they're slower in offering than most schools because they got to do their research. D3 schools, you're not getting athletic money, you're getting academic money. So they want to make sure that you can clear and you can get into school first so they can offer you as much academic money as possible. So you might not hear offer for a long period of time. but don't
Right.
fall in love with hearing the word offer, because what happens when you fall in love with that process, you get a scenario that's been going around where you end up on National Signing Day. That kid that's been tweeting out, blessed to receive that non-committable offer, they don't have a home. Why? Because the schools that wanted to recruit them, the D2 and D3 schools we
They
talked
backed
about,
off of.
they backed off of them.
Yeah.
Because who knows what's real and what's fake out here? The colleges don't know.
Right.
And so they back off of them. So I would tell them to build relationships. That's most important. Make sure you call that coach. If you got a coach that you're talking to, try to talk to him every week, or jot it down. If you got 10 colleges that you're talking to, just say, hey, coach, are you free on Tuesdays? When is your free time? They might say Tuesdays after 6, I'm free. Jot that down. Start building conversations. Start finding out and building relationships so you can get a chance to know who you're being coached by. Because this is a common mistake too. When you go to college, you're going to spend very few time with your head coach.
Right.
Head coaches in college is not like high school head coach. They're not visual. You might just see them in the team meetings. The person that you need to build a relationship is your position coach. Right. That's going to be like your uncle. That's the guy you're going to be with. Start building.
You think that's the same setup for high school as well, though? Because some of these kids are getting some of these high school coaches I've talked to don't feel like they should get very involved in the recruiting process. They should, that their kid probably should build more relationships with their position coaches or a coach on a staff that's designated for recruiting in general. So yeah, seems like the same type of setup, I think.
I don't agree with that setup. I feel like you're coaching, when you're coaching high school, you're coaching educational based athletics. I'm gonna make that clear. Educational based athletics. Okay. Meaning it should be on your priority list to help that kid go to the next level. And that doesn't mean just going to college to play football, but that kid might want to go to Central Piedmont. That kid might want to go into the military. That kid might want to go into trade school. It's our job, because you have to understand we're a big influence on them. There's a reason why at most high schools, the football coach is a impactful person in those hallways. Just depends on the school you go to, but mostly all head football coaching is going to be impactful in that school. So there's a reason for that, and just realize that you can help change a kid's life just by helping them out. And also another thing too, I think a lot of it comes back to how you was raised. Right. I come from the hood. I understand without an education that I wouldn't be where I'm at. So I'm going extra hard. You know how many first generational educational kids that I've helped out, or you know how many first generational scholarships is out here? I ain't talking about athletic scholarships, but majority of schools have a first generational program where they will pay your tuition 100% or a good percentage of it to come to their college if you're a first generational college student. That's the stuff that most coaches aren't, they don't push that. But also, if you're a head coach, build a relationship with your guidance counselor.
But listen, listen. Why? If that, listen, that's a great mindset and a great approach, man. When you get these 9th graders who's going to be 10th grade, 11th grade, and they're inspired to go to college, however, whether it be education or sports or whatever. Most of these coaches' mindset is just their job is to put the team in the best position to win games. That's it. And you should do that too, right? That's your job too. And a lot of them just don't feel like getting involved in that recruiting process. They don't get involved in that recruiting process and they're not as passionate as, say, Mountain Allen and Robert Washington is. There has to be, I feel like, and I feel like you do this, when you get those guys together, that we're just talking about football, because I know you do all sports, you got to have that conversation with them. That real conversation you just had with me about, the ability to get money for not just sports, just for education, and you may not be, you may have to play D2, take the D2 route because of the transfer portal. I don't know if every school sets the expectations like that and have those conversations so so the athlete can kind of level off and know, what the approach is to get into college, man. So I don't think all the schools are set up like that, man.
Well, they better be winning state championship year after year. Because if you're prioritizing winning, if you're not winning anything, and your kids ain't going to college, what are you doing for?
Ain't that the truth?
Because I've already established that if you get into this, because the same ones that will say, that they'll take that mindset is the same ones complaining about pay, right?
Right.
Well, what is your why? You got to understand your why. What is your why?
What is your why? I like it.
What is your why? If it's winning football games, that's fine. I'm not knocking those coaches, because that's one of mine. Trust me. When I'm coaching football, I want to win just as bad as anybody. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
But what is your why? It can't be the pay, because I mean, if
we talked about that already.
Yeah, if you in South Carolina, I get it. You get what I'm saying? Go to get your recruiting coordinator that can work on those things. You don't got time for it, right? Because you're getting paid a lot of money to do what you do, and you got to win ball games.
Right.
But I tell you what, do your research. I'll challenge you to do this. The coaches are screaming that it's not their job to help kids with college recruiting. Check their win-loss record.
No, the coaches that I'm talking about, I ain't gonna call them out. They're not winning, and I have the same mindset as you do. What's your why? Like, what are you doing this for? Because you're not winning any state championships. You're not winning the conference. What are you really doing? But you're not involved. You mean to tell me you're not heavily involved in the recruiting process? With a kid who really wants to make it and just don't know. Some of these families, they're oblivious to, how do I get my son into a D1, D2, D3, whatever school? How do I get my son? Where do I get the money from? Where do I start? And you mean to tell me you don't get involved? Hey, man, forget it. Those are the type of coaches to me that lose some pretty good kids. I think some kids that they could have helped out along the way.
Well, going back to the why, because one helps the other, right? So if you got kids that know that you're going to help them out with the recruiting and you care, right?
You care. Yeah.
Guess what they're going to do when they get on the field?
They're not. I don't think they go. I don't think they'll give you everything if you don't care.
If you don't, they won't. But if you do, see, this is the thing. I was able to get so much. I have players that come back, and I'm like, I know I got everything out of that kid talent. Because that's our job. It's to get everything out of their talent.
They'll give you everything if you show them that. You're right, Coach.
So in actually, it's going to help your win-loss record.
Absolutely. Totally agree. So how do you balance it all, though, Coach? How do you keep a healthy relationship as a father, husband, right? How do you balance it all? This athletic director and educator and coach and leader and mentor and all the things that you do. How do you balance all that and put that in perspective?
Well, the blessing thing here, at Mountain Island, we got two other athletic directors too, and we got Matt Stegers, our main athletic director. He handles majority of the sports, but that helps me too, because what happens is I would go back to, you got to have a good understanding spouse, because it's no getting around it. If you're a coach and you're pouring into kids the way we are, or coaches out here as high school coaches, you're gonna be a part-time father and you're gonna be a part-time husband. So it's a constant juggling act for me, where it's like, when I got time, like when you talk about my rest time, it's spending time with my family and making sure that we're taking vacations, make sure that I'm listening to my wife when she wants to have an important conversation, making sure I make date night happen, right?
You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
You got to, even if it's going down to the Comedy Zone and getting some chicken wings and
laughing is always healthy, right?
It's always good. Even if to the movies or it's just a walk in the park, I always try to find that time for my wife, because she's my rock. She's never put pressure on me that I have to choose one or the other. So she knows she's my rock, but just, you got to find that balance, man, and understand that you're going to be a part-time father. And when you get those moments to be with your kids, you do it.
That's big time. And speaking of kids, man, you got some pretty good athletes yourself in your family, man.
Yeah,
Your son, but
yeah,
you got a son that plays for you right now, right?
yep. Justice.
Justice. Yeah, that's my son's name too. My oldest son is named Justice. So I'm gonna
Yep.
remember. I'm gonna be following him. He's one that I've marked, check the box to follow him, man. Tell me a little bit about him. What's his upside right now as far as where he is in his career as a receiver so far?
I mean, I think he's projected well. And the one thing that about Justice I take pride in, obviously, his oldest brother Robert Jr. was a 4-star recruit. So living in his shadow, Robert's five. It was a different ballgame because Robert was 5'11", 225. Justice is 5'8", 150. That's
Oh wow.
a different dynamic. But he fought the passion for himself, and being a coach's son, he's done all the things that he needs to do to be the best he could be. He just won 2 state championships in the 4x1, 4x2 on the track team. He jumped the 21.7 earlier this year in long jump. He's gotten faster. He's dropped his 40 time huge. Shout out to Coach Brandon Isaac, our speed coach for track. Has helped him really get his times down. He's always been a great route runner, but also he was an all-conference wrestler too for 2 years. He's
Oh
an
wow.
all-conference wrestler. He was actually number 1 in the region, not last year, but the year before last. He ended up stopped wrestling to focus on track. So he's done all the stuff that he needs to do. He's just been grinding. As a coach's son, you're not gonna get, everybody think. And I'm not saying that Mount, they don't think that, but I'm just saying being a coach's son, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And he's lived up to it, man. He broke our receiving record last year, and he just shows up. So looking
Is he
forward
is
to
he a
more next
junior?
season.
What is he? A junior or a senior? What is
He's a rising senior. He's a junior.
Rising senior?
Rising senior. Yep.
So this is it, the big year.
This is the big year for him.
It sounds like the big years every year, man. It sounds like he's improved every year. So he look at every year like it's a big year. And
Absolutely.
I ain't gonna hold you much longer, Coach. I'm gonna ask you, what do you hope as you continue in your coaching career, man, that people will say about your legacy, man, as an educator and also as a coach, man? What do you hope to hear as you end? Don't sound like you ending anytime soon, man. You look young, you look healthy, man. You look like you still ready to go. But what about your legacy? What do you think the people you think the people would say about you?
That's a powerful question. That's a tough question to process. But what I expect is, I mean, you see Darius Phillips, his comment like that, coach help in some kind of way. And
Right.
I don't ever want to be remembered for teaching you football skills. I want to be remembered for teaching you a life skill. Um, that's just
All
it. Just want to help.
And that's enough, man. Hey, man, it's been great talking to you, man. Hopefully, we'll get around to you again during the season, man. I wish you all the luck in your season, man. We really appreciate the things that you've done and the impact that you've had on these kids' lives and in the community, man. And we're going to follow you, man. I really love the blueprint. You've given some people, hopefully, some of the listeners and the viewers are listening. You've given a really good blueprint on how to get it done as far as building a staff, building young men, and continuing to build the even younger men, man. And we really do appreciate your inspiration and what you do, Coach. And man, I thank you once again, man, for giving me this interview. I don't know if anybody can top this one, man. I don't know if anybody can top this, man. Hey, Coach, man, I appreciate you, man. And once again, good luck, man.
Hey, again, I appreciate what y'all doing in the community too. Don't undersell yourself. You're doing some great things because you're diving into topics that everyone can't dive into. So
I appreciate you, man.
salute,
We're
and
gonna keep,
anytime
we're
you
gonna
need
keep
me
this
on.
thing going. All right, Coach. We'll see you soon, man.
All right, coach.